Hello guys, and welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Dice. Today is part 2 of our look at the Harry Potter miniatures game. Now I said I would do 3 parts, and 3 parts I will do. As you can see, in part 1 I wasn't as horrible about night models as you would assume I would be. Because like I said, I take everyone on merit. Today, we're looking at the miniatures. Now, this is a double-edged sword, as it were. Because there's many positives to them, and of course there are some negatives. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the negatives first, and then we're going to cover the positives, and then we'll look at the models themselves. So one of the big negatives is the fragility of the models. Not just the ones that was to be expected. They are very fragile, but the models themselves on their bases and things like that, they do feel very unsteady. Anybody who paints via a dry brush method is really going to struggle with these models. They could have done with being made in metal, or at least a stronger resin. But again, maybe the resin's what gives it their detail, because the detail on them is exquisite. One of my Death Eaters, the one with his arm outstretched, as you'll see in a moment, his wand was snapped. And so I had to craft him a new one, and I went by drilling through the hand and putting something a bit thicker in, so it's got a slightly different shaped wand, but it does still fit with the movie theme. So one of them, when obviously you have a look, you'll see that the model itself has a different wand, and it's not a conversion, it was purely out of had to, more than wanted to. Now my other issue with it, and this is just a kind of nitpicky one, but it does really bother me, is night models have gone to a lot of trouble to give them very nice bases which fit the theme of the Harry Potter world very well. Whether you use them as the Ministry of Magic corridors, or you want to use it as Hogwarts or a dungeon, you know, that kind of cobbly base works perfectly for that. But then what they have done is they've cut a giant hole down the middle of it so they can add a slotter in, which does kind of mess up the aesthetic of the base, and you will see it when you have a look at them. I did green stuff them a bit, but I tried to green stuff them without losing any of the actual definition of the base. You know, a better modeler probably could have done a much better job, but I don't know. I wasn't that fussed. I wanted to get this video done, so I kind of bodged them up as best as possible. Other than that, the only thing I would really say to their detriment is some of the mould lines, of which there wasn't many, but some of the mould lines were in really awkward places, very delicate places, so I had to be very careful not to put too much pressure on, because I would have snapped some arms and things like that. Other than that, there's not a lot of negatives to them. You know, anybody who's interested in getting this game will be pleased to hear. I would suggest, though, that if you are buying it for your children who have just kind of got into the hobby and maybe they've got a bit of Games Workshop stuff, this might not be the set for them, because it is not that they're hard to put together, but they're very delicate. Now, positive-wise, the sculpts are fantastic on these models. They really are. Every model is bursting with flavour, all except the spiders, where you get 5 that, from what I can see, seem to be identical, but that's because they're just swarms, so that's by the by, I guess. But yeah, I'm very impressed with these sculpts. The Death Eaters don't all look generic, each one is different, they've got different pose. Harry's obviously very different from Ron. I mean, instantly, even without looking at the faces, you can tell the difference from the poses and things like that in them. They're very beautiful sculpts. And to Night Model's credit, they do look very similar to the original shots they put out. There's very little, in mine anyway, of the way of mismoulding or anything like that. I know from being in other groups, Night Models groups, Harry Potter miniature game groups, and, you know, general modelling groups, that other people have had problems with mismoulding and things like that. I'm happy to say I didn't with mine, which is good, because it was a present, so it wouldn't be a pain in the butt to return or get replacements for, maybe. I suppose it wouldn't be too hard. I would contact Night Models. They would either just instantly, or they'd say they need a copy of the receipt. I would then have to get a copy of the said receipt. yeah, it would be more of a hassle than I'd be willing to do, which is the same reason I just fixed that model with the broken wand. Now, I will say that I don't know whether the wand was broken already or I broke it accidentally when I was doing my unboxing, and I would have to re-watch that video to see whether the wand was in one piece. Because it could have been that I was just a bit clumsy with it when I was putting it out, which again isn't a good thing because it says that the model isn't that sturdy. But again, if it was my fault, then I'll, hold my hands up to it, and I will watch back that video just to check. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the models individually. With the spiders, we're just going to look at the big spider and then one swarm, because as I said, they're pretty much identical, and we'll look at each of the individual models. I've gone for a grey spray on them. Usually I would spray black, but the grey stands out better for the purposes of showing it off for this video, so I've gone with that. And yeah, I want to try different things with them anyway, so but yeah, so we'll be back in a second and we'll have a look at the models. So the first model we're going to start off with is Hermione Granger. It's a really, really nice sculpt, to be honest. There's a few bits of flash that I missed and I've only noticed them when I'm undercoated them. But as you can see, let's get the detailing on her is exquisite. She's very, very fragile, though. I mean, because I'm a glutton for punishment, look at that. Very, very flexible. Something I am worried about her snapping at some point. Next one we're going to look at is my favourite. Young Ronald Weasley. Now, I really, really love this sculpt. It's got so much character. You can see how fragile those wands are, though. And again, if you notice, just around here, there was some kind of, well, almost mismoulding. But I sort of green stuffed it as best I can. You can still see it's not as smooth as it should be. And here we have him. Here we have young Harold of Potter. Again, a really, really nice sculpt. The face is really good. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm not a big fan of Harry himself, so I'm really not that enthused. And then you've got the spiders, which I put on bases. So there's the bigger spider. And then all the swarms are the same. So I can just show you these. Now, these bases were really helpfully supplied by Nate, because as I was mentioning in previous videos, they don't come with the bases. And this is something I'm quite annoyed about. Sorry about that. I just couldn't help myself. I started tidying up. So these are the different death deals. And the death deals are actually my favourites in this set. They're really, really nice. However, and it's this one, the wand was actually snapped. And again, I don't know if it was in the set that it was snapped or whether I've done it before assembling it. I'm not sure. It could have been done in the unboxing, but I did make another one out of a tree branch. Or no, it was a snake's tail from a Lizardman set, or a Seraphon set if you're new to Age of Sigmar. So it looks okay. It looks a bit Bellatrix's, but I think I can get away with it. And then here is the third one. Tiny bit of mould line there that I've missed. I had to be very, very careful with cleaning these because they are so, so fragile. But I'm really looking forward to getting some paint on them. And this is the final one. I think he might be my favourite. So there you have it. They're the models so far from the Harry Potter stuff. I am going to get them painted and then we're going to have another look at them. But it isn't part of my series. Part 3, however, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at, as you guys may just remember, it was like a week ago, we're going to be looking at the rules. Now, we've had 2 playthroughs of this, and the rules are a bit clunky. I think when they were translated from Spanish over to English, they probably weren't done the best. And that happens. I've played many, many tabletop games where the translations have made them a bit odd. But we're going to power through. There's a couple of really good guys on the Harry Potter Miniatures Game Facebook group who've created some quick reference guides and things like that clarify a lot of things. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to do part 3. And then we're going to do some playthroughs and things like that. I'm also going to show you guys when they're painted. I might even do a painting tutorial just on one of the spiders or something like that. I don't want to do it on the individual character models themselves, because I want to put a lot of time and effort into them. And really, if I'm putting a lot of effort into them, then the chances are I'm not going to have the time to be talking to you guys while I'm doing it. I want to concentrate just on getting them painted. But I will show you them when they're done. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Hopefully you're enjoying the Harry Potter series so far. It was a week ago that we put up part 1. This is part 2. And realistically, part 3 is going to be at least a week down the line. Maybe 2 weeks. Because we have a lot of Conquest stuff coming out. And we've got some board games and stuff to look at. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Pray to the Dice Gods and hope they smile upon you. And Expelliarmus or something like that. Take care, guys. Bye now.